Rabbi, say hello to the camera.
Hi, how are you today?
We're great.
Amazing, I'm ready to
Yes.
give it for our Torah.
Perfect.
Can't wait for my opportunity to sit down and talk to everybody about what we have to learn about this week's Parsha. We've got a lot of exciting things to talk about. See you soon.
Okay.
Is it working? The camera's
It
working?
is working.
Good.
It is working. Take a deep breath.
We're ready to go?
Yep.
It's a detail that seems irrelevant. In this week's Torah reading, we have the story of the Jews crossing the Red Sea. And at the end of the crossing of the Red Sea, where they are finally absolutely free of their Egyptian masters, Moses composes a wonderful song, and the Jewish people all sing it together. And then the Torah tells us a detail that on the face of it seems irrelevant. The Torah tells us that Miriam leads the women in dancing and song as well. And when you look at it, you say to yourself, what's the point of this? People have been delivered. The deliverance, the salvation, is not gender specific. The celebration should not be gender specific. Yet for some reason the Torah goes out of its way to mention that Miriam leads the women in dance and song. What's the meaning of this detail? And I think the answer is quite simple. And in fact, if you go back to the beginning of Sefer Shemot, the book of Exodus, you can begin to see the answer. And the answer is this. There are two stories of heroism in the Exodus from Egypt. There is the overt story, a heroism of might, a heroism of triumph, in which Moses delivers the Jewish people from Egypt via the plagues, via his powerful speeches to Pharaoh. This is one story of deliverance. This is one story of salvation. It is a story of power and might, in which 10 plagues are visited upon the Egyptians until the Jews go free. But there's a completely other story of heroism, which is hidden underneath the surface. It bubbles up a little bit at the beginning. It bubbles up a little bit at the end. And it's a story of the heroism of survival. It is a story of the heroism of love. You have to think to yourself, what happened to the Jewish family in 400 years of slavery? Why didn't it collapse? Why didn't Jews just stop having Jewish children? And the answer is that there was another group of people who were heroic. And not just heroic for the last 6 months before the exodus of redemption, but they were heroic for 400 years of slavery. And that is the Jewish women. And Miriam is the ultimate representative of this group. It's fascinating that at the very beginning of the biblical narrative, talking about the unfortunate slavery in Egypt, we are told about midwives who insist on helping the Jews reproduce despite Paro's desires and despite Paro's plans to destroy the Jewish children. And similarly, we're told about Moses' older sister, Miriam, the very Miriam that leads the Jews in song after the redemption. And Miriam is the one that stands by when Moses is thrown into the river to watch over him and to make sure that he's safe and that ultimately he is taken care of. Miriam is the ultimate representative of these hidden heroes, the Jewish women who keep the Jewish family alive. And so much so that the Talmud in Sota tells us that it's because of the righteous women that the Jews were redeemed from Egypt. Because there's a heroism of might and a heroism of triumph. And then there's a hidden heroism, a heroism that's required for survival, a heroism of love. And this is something we need to reflect upon ourselves. Sometimes we think that the heroic is the great deeds, the powerful actions. But honestly, every time you see a Jewish child walking in the street, there's something very special about that. I think about Rabbi Yisrael Zev Gustman, a famous Rosh Yeshiva in Israel, who was a survivor of the Holocaust. and who unfortunately lost his own son Meir during the Shoah, during the Holocaust. And Rav Gustman used to go every year to watch the children's parade on Yom Yerushalayim. The children in Jerusalem would go out and they would sing and dance in the streets, and he would be standing there watching this parade. Now, I don't need to tell you that a Rosh Yeshiva, the head of a rabbinic academy, to be standing in the street for hours watching children dancing seems to be a bit strange. He's a man of great substance. He's a man of great seriousness. What's he doing standing and watching a children's parade for a few hours? So one of his students once saw him there, and they asked him, Rav Gustman, what are you doing here? And he said, well, I saw so many children suffer. Now I have the opportunity to watch children dance and rejoice. I'm going to watch that. Rav Gustman's remark is reflective of this very profound idea of heroism. The heroism of love, the heroism of survival, the heroism of family. And every time we see a Jewish child walking in the streets, we are watching an act of redemption. And that is what Miriam is trying to remind us. The Torah points out Miriam's role in the rejoicing at the Red Sea, because the Torah wants us to understand that aside from all of the grand actions, aside from all of the miracles, there is a group of heroes that sometimes get unrecognized. The women who brought Jewish children into the world, even though it didn't seem logical. And every time we bring a Jewish child into the world, we are performing an act of redemption.
Good, thank you, Rabbi.
I don't know how long it was, but
Well,
you want to do it again?
yeah, I do. I do want to do it again from a different angle. Okay.
You want to go over there?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I still, I guess it's feminist. I don't. No, I mean, not that I have not that I'm uncomfortable with it, but that's not my focus. My focus is on a particular set of
family.
actions. It's on survival and love versus might and triumph and victory. These are
Okay.
very
I'm
different.
going to have to set the white